Start streaming. I don't really know what's up with YouTube today. Seems like the stream is not liking something. Okay, so it seems like we were finally able to get live. Anyone that's curious about streaming on YouTube, I found the trick is head into the live dashboard of youtube.com and change the streaming key for your YouTube live. And now I'm able to get on the YouTube live dashboard. Hello. What is up, everybody? Oh man, we've got some early birds out there. Jesus Christ. Okay, so today's no liquids on my table. Did you guys know that Xcode 11 beta 3 just came out like yesterday? So I'm starting to test out these different versions of Xcode, and I find that there's not a whole there isn't a huge difference between Xcode. Oh man, my voice is starting to go. I'm trying to prepare and say no to storyboards. Those of you that are in chat, if you use a storyboard, press 1. If you don't use a storyboard, press 2. If you're going to convert to SwiftUI the moment it comes out, which is expected to be September 16th, September 17th, press 3. Okay. If you use storyboard, press 1. If you don't, press 2. If you're going to switch up to SwiftUI immediately when it gets released off of beta. Okay, so we got most of you guys are not storyboard users. We've got Kilo Loco in the house. So we got 1 transitioning to 2. Mid transition. Nice. So who has any thoughts as to why Apple is switching over from storyboards and programmatic UI kit? Why are they having this paradigm shift to SwiftUI? Who has the best guess as to why that's happening? I'll try to give you my thoughts on, what exactly Apple is doing and what they're planning on, or what they're planning for, really. Usually code on private project, but storyboard on the project with other people. Yeah. Yeah. Kilo Loco. Have you been putting out videos lately? I think I have you on my, let's see, youtube.com, Kilo Loco. If you guys aren't subscribed to Kilo Loco, make sure to check out his channel. Oh yeah, you're doing the SwiftUI weekly. Nice. I've decided to kind of move away from SwiftUI for just a little bit here. I think some of the questions regarding SwiftUI is a little annoying, is maybe how I would phrase it. Okay, building and running for every change is a waste of power from the computer and battery. Programmatic UI is way better, easier to deal with merge conflicts. Simran Preet Singh, just for your awesome work, and please do that full stack course and mobile front end. At least both in Android and iOS native with Swift and Kotlin, please. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll switch over to, let's see. Thanks for the super chat donation, Simran Preet. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Let's see. Oh, okay. We have a lot of junk on the desktop here. Okay. So here's the latest course that I'm going to build out. So this is a social media style application, and I have most of the course content ready and good to go. I just need to record the preview video, and then also start knocking out some of the features here. So for example, we have the ability to check our profile here. What else is going on? We can like the content. We can comment on this stuff. Does this work? No, that doesn't work. So click on that. We have some comments here. And nice food to cook up and order when hungry. And this end. Okay, so this stuff seems to work. Looks good. Now all this stuff is hitting the Node.js backend. So I think I'm going to start moving away from strictly using Firebase as the backend. I find that like Firebase is okay, but when you have to start getting into custom queries, for example, building out this top section right here with your friends, and then also pulling down the entire feed, this was extremely difficult using Firebase. So like it's really fast if I just use something else. So do I have another user? So let's say I do this. So let me refresh here, and so there you go. This is really fast. Refresh. Yeah. So it's really quick and it's really fast. And basically for any type of custom logic that you want to implement, it's like really easy to do. Am I using Firebase? Love using Firebase. Am I using Express? So let's see. Is it using Express? So I'm using Sales MVC. It's very similar to Rails and Laravel for PHP. I think it wraps Express, but I was digging through the documentation to see whether or not Express was being used. I couldn't really determine 100% if it actually was. I think it is, but I might be wrong. But yeah. I don't know, maybe I should show the actual post. Let's see, do I have any embarrassing photos in this simulator here? Okay, so let's see. Mr. Katie here. Where am I going this year? Brooklyn Nets. It is. Okay, I see. Post. This is work. Post. Posting. It's going to upload this onto the server, and then once it uploads, it grabs it on the feed and shows it. So much easier to like configure compared to Firebase. So and it's actually very easy to build out this stuff. So hopefully I can put out some content by the end of today. That's what I'm looking for. Does this app use SwiftUI? No, it doesn't. I would stay away from SwiftUI for at least a little bit. I know everyone's really excited about it, and so am I. But in order to stay productive, you have to live in the world of what's currently in release. You don't really want to use beta software because a couple of things: the code, the APIs for SwiftUI, it's going to change pretty drastically over the next couple of months and the next year. And when they finally nail down what's like really practical using SwiftUI, then that's when I would probably start using it full time. But as always, I know plenty of people like for whenever Swift 1 came out, I believe I migrated to like either Swift 1 or Swift 1.1, or maybe at Touch of Modern we actually released the app using Swift 2.0. I think I can't remember exactly, but we're pretty early adopters in terms of getting our iOS migrated correctly. So Kilo Loco actually going to be playing with Kitura today. Yeah. So a lot of people are asking me about writing a purely Swift backend using either Vapor or Kitura. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Last time I tried to use Swift, one of these frameworks, like I think I've mentioned this before, but I just hate Xcode. Xcode is one of the more frustrating code editors out there. And the Swift language is kind of a piece of doo-doo. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I dislike the Swift language. So the plan for this stuff is, let's see, where am I? Am I here? Okay. So the plan for this stuff is to, I think at the very least, we're going to release an iOS course here. The course, in the initial state of the course, will be Node.js, Swift, UI Kit, and HTML. And then after that, it'll be, I'll release additional courses based on this. For example, an Android course, a SwiftUI course, and a Flutter course. So a lot of different pieces of content that you guys can consume if you want to get up to date on the other platforms and the other programming languages. That's the idea. Is this the new course preview? It's no cool. It's in the works. Everything's kind of getting finalized right now. Let's see. Yeah. So Kilo Loco says, "What's my favorite language?" I don't currently have a favorite language, really. Probably JavaScript. I think JavaScript is easy and very quick and very fast. I find myself over the years and years of programming, like, here's what I'll say about autocomplete. When you first start out programming, autocomplete is extremely helpful. And without autocomplete, trying to figure out how to actually get your application up and running, without autocomplete, it's like virtually impossible to do. But over time, maybe it's just the Xcode editor, but autocomplete for Xcode is just horrible. And it's also extremely slow. So languages like JavaScript, where you don't rely on autocomplete, it's kind of my preference these days. Hey Dennis White, how's it going, man? Jeffrey Chang, is there any book that I recommend for learning algorithms? I guess, what should I say about books and algorithms? First thing I'll say about books is that I don't have any programming books. Secondly, if I were to buy a programming book, it wouldn't be about algorithms because I don't need it personally. And I don't mean that I'd because I can figure out every algorithm. It means that in my point in my career, I'm never going to be tested on algorithms ever again. So once you establish yourself as more of a senior programmer, then it's rare that an algorithm question is tossed at you. I mean, it's still pretty common, but it's not as common as when you just start out. But if I was just starting out, buying one of those super thick, what was that green book? There's a famous green book that discusses algorithms. That's the one I would get. What about SwiftUI for the future? Yeah, we're all pretty excited. No one really knows what the future is just yet. Your guess is pretty much as good as mine. What tools do I suggest we use to develop apps faster? I don't know. That's a weird question. It's pretty much your brain that allows you to develop the app faster. So if you improve your brain, I guess, then that's the only way. Like, the tools can only do so much. It's mostly your brain doing the work. A lot of questions today. Jesus. Now I'm interested in multi-threading. Cracking the coding interview. Yes, that is the one. I think there's an overemphasis on algorithms. Professor Brain. Fastlane is pretty helpful. Yeah, that is pretty helpful. It really depends on how you're developing your app. Like, everyone has their own set of tools. Yeah. So let's see, what do we got here? And let me see if I can delete this post here. 3 posts, 4 followers. Where's that post? This belongs to the curry user. Okay, go here, delete this. Can I delete you? Delete. Deleting, and it's still here. Let me refresh. Maybe I should auto refresh that. I don't know, really. Can I like this? Okay, I kind of like that. Like, 2 likes, a little slow. Like. Okay. All right, we got Max Speed 2K. Enjoy your content. Thanks for all the help. Thanks for supporting the channel, Max. Are you Max Codes or are you Max Speed? Or are you both? Yeah. Actually, I do like this new sheet presentation. So something that you can do is you can drag down this guy now, which is very helpful. I mean, it's like a new UI interaction. And this is just the default presentation now. The problem that we're going to start seeing in applications is that you can simply drag this down and reveal what's behind it. This is going to be a little problematic. Like, what happens is when I log out, I'm logged out of the entire server, so I can't really pull down any data anymore. So I have a feeling that a lot of applications are going to have a problem with that. Okay, now I'm logged back in. Okay, yeah, so everything is working pretty well with the app. Took me a while to build this thing out, maybe like, I would say 2 weeks. Overall, like 2 weeks. Okay, so let's kind of switch back here. Let me see what the questions are for today. So Dennis White says, during my vacation, I played with a Swift app from 2Straws and was surprised how addicted I have come to rely on autocomplete. Yeah. Yep. When autocomplete works well, then it's an amazing tool. But when the suggestions are wrong, when the suggestions are not there, when you can't get it to come out, especially for SwiftUI, then that's when it's a bit of a it becomes problematic because you rely on it a little bit too much. So I find myself in that situation all the time. You suggest Ray Wenderlich books if it helps. Yeah, the thing about Ray Wenderlich books is that I've seen a couple of different books that they have. And I don't want to complain about someone else's content, but here's what I'll say about Ray Wenderlich books. Once you open it and you start reading through like the first page and you move on and you keep reading and reading and reading, it feels very traditional, old school, and it feels like I went back to school and just opened up a book. To me, I don't like that experience. But if you like that experience of being in school and reading a book, then Ray Wenderlich's content, well, their books are probably something that's good for you. I can't learn that way, so I hate books in general. It's not very conducive for my own learning style. I like seeing pictures, like seeing like visual content. I can't learn if I just look at text. I don't know if you guys feel that way too. When using image picker controller, the card display lags when swiping to dismiss. Let's see. Yeah, it does. It drags down, you dismiss, and then it like pops up with the color. Yeah, you guys can't see it, but yeah. Has anyone tried out app code? I pretty much hate Xcode too because it's slow speed. Yeah. So app code is faster. I was talking to some of the developers at AppCode, and I was trying to see if they had a promotion program. But if I guess one day I'll just get myself a license, an AppCode license, and then I'll show you guys how fast it is compared to Xcode. But the only way that you can use AppCode is if you don't rely on the storyboard at all. And because I don't ever use the storyboard, I find it extremely efficient in terms of programming to use AppCode instead. Change the style to full screen. Oh, I didn't know that was possible. I guess you can change it to full screen, but yeah, I guess by default most people won't have it by full screen mode. Let's see, growing text view. Yep. I think you missed the keyboard management part in Kotlin Messenger. Can you make a small video on that? Yeah, that was kind of a running joke about the Kotlin chat app. I never showed anyone how to manage the keyboard. It's pretty easy. I think you just Google this stuff, right? You don't need my videos, just Google it. Will Flutter override iOS development? I think that's a dumb question. Has anyone used Flutter for iOS apps? I think that's also a dumb question. Why are people asking about Flutter? That's so weird. What architecture are you using? I just joined the stream. It's just using plain MVC. I'm thinking about maybe I can introduce some MVVM concepts in here, make it a little more reactive and start binding some objects to the table view. So we have super chat down here. If one wanted to begin learning iOS and Android, where should they begin on your YouTube channel or website? I see you have many videos and courses. Yeah, a lot of students have asked me that same question. So if you're learning iOS, so let's just focus on the iOS portion of this question. You should definitely start with a YouTube channel. All the content's free, obviously, and sort of slowly work your way towards getting comfortable with like typing code and seeing things in a programmatic point of view. And then once you're comfortable with UI kit, a collection view, a table view, cell dequeuing, creating your layouts programmatically, once you're comfortable with that, then you can start moving on to the iOS courses on the website. A lot of students have taken the iOS courses, and there's never really been any student that has ever come to me with any feedback. Like, no one ever leaves the feedback saying that the courses are hard. I don't think, I think maybe I've had one or two students out of like the thousands of students that say that the courses are difficult. Most of the students find that the courses are like pretty easy to follow. For Android content, I don't have any courses on the website, but the content on this channel, there are I think 2 or 3 different series of Android courses on the channel. So if you check those out, then it should be helpful. What do I think about Flutter? I don't know. I think that you can Google that question, I guess. Biggest drawbacks of React Native? I don't know. People asking too many questions about it. More LBTA tools, videos, please. Yeah. So the course that I'm planning to put out with Node.js and iOS, that entire iOS app is built out using LBTA tools. And the reason why I do that is, no one really wants to see me register cells and dequeue cells again. And creating labels, auto layout. I'd rather use stacks and H stack and V stacks. It's very similar to SwiftUI, and it makes the development process just way faster. Where should I just start doing SwiftUI for new apps? I don't know. This is a pretty silly question, DR. We're still in beta, and you're asking if you should start using for new apps. How does AppCode handle launch screen storyboard? Yeah, for the launch screen, you'll still have to go back to Xcode and edit the launch screen. Not really sure if AppCode handles that at all. Can you just payment gateway integration to iOS using Swift? So the payment gateway is going to have to exist on the server. So for example, on letsbuildthatApp.com, I use Stripe and PayPal to handle payments. All that is being integrated in the Golang and the Golang custom backend. You would have to deal with that on your server. If it's written in Swift, then you'll have to write that code in Swift. I don't know if Stripe has a Swift SDK. It probably does at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a Swift SDK. Making one of the first SwiftUI apps on the App Store. I don't know, that's your call. To be honest, I don't really care about SwiftUI at this point. When will your full stack social media course be ready? It's on the website already. You just can't find it. If you can find it, you can purchase it, but it's not shown anywhere yet, but it's there. So if you can figure out how to find it, then you can get to some of it. Well, we'll see what's available. So Gurpreet says, how do I prepare myself when I have to learn new things without getting frustrated? So frustration, especially in coding and programming, it mostly has to deal with your expectations. So if you're trying to get into something brand new, your expectation should be, okay, how do I declare a variable? How do I write a function? How do I execute a for loop? Those are the first 3 things that you have to accomplish in a language. And the next thing, you have to know how to print something, a log statement, a print statement. So don't set your expectations beyond that. Otherwise, you're going to get kind of frustrated and not learn. I want to ask about Flutter, your opinion. Wow, for real. Thanks, Professor Brain. I don't use storyboards, so even better. How about handling the profiles for your targets and managing the build schemes? So I haven't used app code to that extent. From what I can tell, some things are supported and some things are not. So I don't think targets are supported. Build schemes, you might have to go back to Xcode to modify your build schemes, unfortunately. And the thing about app code is, okay, before you go out and buy your own app code license, make sure to just download the free 30-day trial. Use it, see how it feels. If you like it, then maybe go buy it. But because SwiftUI is now a thing, or not a thing in the immediate present tense, but SwiftUI is going to be more and more prevalent in the iOS development space. So chances of app code supporting the SwiftUI preview is very, very slim. So I would hold back on relying on app code too much. I like SwiftUI previews a lot, and it actually helps you visualize your UI kit controllers just on the right editor. I don't want to run my simulator all day. Eric Blanca says, I just got my first entry-level job and continuing to learn for my job. What are some important factors to master in Swift? What are some important factors to master in Swift? That's a good question. I think multi-threading is pretty important. How to debug things in Swift. And I think those are probably the 2 important things. Everything else is like pretty easy, in my opinion. So like debugging memory leaks and figuring out how the code actually works. Viper architecture, I don't really know Viper at all. Your thoughts on the Viper? Yeah, I don't know Viper. Your courses are super easy to follow. That's good to hear. Bin Huyn, what are the most common mistakes people make when it comes to app architecture? So first common mistake is that people assume you actually need app architecture for an application. Most people don't need any type of architecture at all. And then for those that do need app architecture, you have to weigh the pros and cons and the simplicity of the framework that you're going to adopt versus how easy it is for people to actually understand your code. I think at this point, MVVM is a pretty well-established architecture that most companies will adopt. Even the Swift WWDC conference, the people on the stage were recommending to use view model objects. And so I think going forward, especially with SwiftUI being a declarative programming language, having bidirectional binding, Now it's more obvious than ever that view model objects are the way to go. Yep. So Eugene says that I recommend not just follow the course, but mess around with the apps and modify the code. It's how you learn. Indeed, indeed. So the courses that I build out, when I teach the courses, it's just me coding and seeing things work, seeing things being built out step by step. But the true intention behind the courses is to make sure that you're aware of what's possible. And so the courses that I put out, they only barely just scratch the surface, really. Probably using headers and tokens. That's just like one Google search away. You might want to consider looking into divable data source for LBTA tools. Might add some performance benefits. Yep. Divable data source. So the collection view has some improvements this year. There's like the syntax for the collection view stuff is just it's getting a little crazy here. So whenever I can get my head wrapped around the new collection view concepts, I'll integrate that into LBTA tools. Currently, the tools is just kind of it's a wrapper around collection view so that you don't have to interact with the index path stuff. But yeah. Oh no, where did I go? Last session, do a fact on the things not to ask. Yeah. How do I feel about the Warriors and D'Angelo Russell? I think it's good that we didn't lose Kevin Durant for absolutely nothing. I'm not a super big fan of D'Angelo Russell. I feel like he overachieved on a team that was that had low expectations. Let's put it that way. Deb DC 19 announcement you'll be able to play with. Other than SwiftUI and Combine. I think every year I only play with the things that I'm interested in, and SwiftUI and Combine were the two things. There were like a ton of different very, very interesting concepts that they announced, like machine learning, ARKit, what is it, 3.0 now? Yeah. Sometimes there's just too many different new things to learn that I get paralyzed by the variety. What is the phrase? Paralysis through analysis. You're just looking at so many different things, you get paralyzed. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to learn and play around with. The other thing that I'm like super, super excited about is SwiftUI for iPad and Mac OS. And yeah, I think that's only supported on Catalina. So I have my laptop on Catalina, but it's a 2013 laptop, 6 years old. It's really slow. I kind of hate using it. So that's kind of why it's what's holding me back from testing out Catalyst and Catalina. Will I be uploading Swift videos that don't involve using SwiftUI? Yeah. Most of the content that I'll put out will still be in non-SwiftUI format. Again, if anyone is deciding to use SwiftUI for production, I kind of question what your business case for that is. You still have to support like users on iOS 11 maybe. So might be moving a little bit too fast, but for a majority of people, they don't really care about iOS 11 and iOS 12 users, then SwiftUI is perfectly fine. How to manage code. I don't know. This is like a philosophical topic. how to handle data when using an array structure class. This is like programming 101. I really hate discussing basic topics, so I'll probably never make a video on that. Can you tell me how you do some calculations? I don't know what a Google IMA is. Is that like the permission thing? Maybe I'm thinking about AWS. Thanks for the great content. You're welcome. Okay. Oh my god. So many questions. When I start MySQL, it gives you an error. You have to Google that. Apple sign-in video. Okay, so Apple sign-in is also very interesting. I think Apple sign-in is gonna be big. I think. Thanks for a link between regarding the P8 and P12 files on certificates. I did fix it, but it was a pain. So many thanks. Yeah, dude, I spent like 6 hours just generating or testing the Firebase cloud messaging test messaging system, seeing how it was not working for my phone, and then just spending hours and hours and hours and hours just not getting anywhere. Finally, I decided to ditch the P8 file, go to my Apple provisioning, what is it, the little tool on the website, generated my P12 file, started pushing messages to my phone, and things finally worked. I think 6 hours is an underestimate. But hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I hope you're doing well too. What do I think about SwiftUI? Okay. No, it's fine. It's not really anything new. Well, I guess it's new, but the ideas behind it are very relatively universal on other platforms already. Okay, Jay Chris says that I've seen many of your videos, bought 2 courses, and learned lots of skills from you. Thanks. I am now working as an iOS intern in a company, but I don't want to work for others forever and hoping someday I can become a freelance iOS app developer. What are your advices? My advice for anyone that wants to become a freelancer is to work in the industry for at least 5 years. And the experience that you get working in a team is invaluable. So for example, some things like how to commit code in a repository, how to modify source code so that it's revisioned and the commits are correct and the edits are correct. That's very important so that you can work as a freelancer with other developers around the world without too much problem. The other thing that's important is that you have to understand the different development cycles of a release. So what the development phase looks like, when the project is ready for release, and when you want to push code to production. So that's all very important. And if you are just working by yourself, you never really see all of that unfold. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's unlikely that you'll see the entire process. What do I think about the way Swift implements promises? I don't think they use promises, or I think it's just like a pure callback system. I would like to see more of an async style programming stack, so that everything's top down instead of living in this callback hell. Please, one more video on auto layout and constraints. I think I've done 1 billion videos on auto layout already. Getting tired of those topics. You don't want to be a Knicks fan. I don't think anyone wants to be a Knicks fan. Any video on creating scroll views programmatically with auto layout constraints. This is one of the hardest things to do in SwiftUI. or Swift programming, managing a scroll view programmatically is like the hardest thing to do. I would not recommend anyone try to do that unless they really understand what's going on. A live streaming app like Facebook. I think I might make one of these live streaming apps as a paid course one of these days. So if you're interested, then check out the website and wait for whenever that's available. Xamarin, never used it. I like C#, but I never used Xamarin. Core data versus Realm, I don't know. It's your call. Jerusalem JavaScript is what you recommend for backend development. So my recommendation for backend development is first, just like any other language, you have to be very precise with what you pick, and you need to weigh two very important aspects of the actual language. First off, is there enough documentation that you can easily consume for that particular language? Secondly, is the language something that you find fun to type out and fun to use? And then I think those are the two important things. So if you can find any language that fulfills these two requirements, then that language should work. If you find a language that everyone's using but you don't like it that much, I don't really recommend you get into it. For the most part, JavaScript is like super simple and super easy to write out. That's kind of why I like to go down this path of JavaScript. I guess the major drawback of JavaScript is that there's really no things are not statically typed. So what that means is you'll run into a lot of compiler errors if you're not careful, or not compiler errors, but runtime errors if you're not careful with the things that you're typing. You can always dual boot Mac OS Catalina. So I'm on a Hackintosh right now, so I can't really do that. Watching from Ghana. Well, that's nice. Mr. Lee. I'm still in middle school, but I like programming a lot. I like iOS development a lot. Suggestions for online free courses, mini project ideas. I don't know. This channel is pretty good. Should you freelance software developer or work in a company? So there's 0% chance that you can become a freelance software developer. So go work for a company. Heading out. Thanks, Keto Loco. Thanks for the content, Brian. Hope to catch you at WWDC next year, if not sooner. Yeah. Hopefully I'll make a trip out there next year if I'm still around in California. I can easily see myself not leaving here next year. Social media platform. Yeah, that's the new course. My thoughts on Jony Ive leaving Apple. So isn't he just creating a new company and he's still working for Apple as his biggest client? Is he really leaving Apple? I don't really know. So let's see. Mr. Lee says that I'm learning Java for a long time, but I really want to learn iOS development. So do you suggest me to continue Java or switch to Swift? So for the younger generation out there that's watching this channel, you'll find that there are many, many different languages out there to learn. You're probably going to learn one language one day and then switch to another language the other day. So it's really up to you. Like, don't listen to anyone about, oh, this is the thing to do now. Just do what's in your heart, what feels right. And there's not much else that you can do other than follow your passion. I think it's extremely cliche for people to say follow your passion, but for young people, for the younger generation, I don't want to for the most part, we don't want to impact what the younger generation do. It's really up to them to decide. So how do you handle scroll views? I don't. All right, so the rock starification. How do I handle scroll views? So tell me what you're trying to do with a scroll view. I can give you a solution for how you can avoid using a scroll view. I'm 99% sure I can give you a solution. Core Bluetooth. I never use Core Bluetooth, so I can't really do a tutorial on that, can I? Is copying good if we don't understand them? Probably not. So think about this. Whenever you ask a question about programming, just think about the same question, but in a different discipline. If you're following like some cooking, if you're trying to cook a particular dish, right? You follow the recipe, you cook it, and then you have this dish. So did you really copy the thing? I guess so. But throughout that process, did you learn how to, put together this recipe? Following the directions is the most important thing, actually. Is my website made with Node.js? No, it is not. So I think I've said this before, but the website's using Golang. It's pretty powerful. So we got 90 people on the stream. Interesting. All right, so I am gonna head out very soon. So any last questions, please let me know. Okay, I have a long screen with a logo at the top, email password, and underneath is forget password. So the rock starification, look at the LBTA tools. Just go on my channel, search for a video called LBTA form controller. So just look for that. Just look for the form controller and use the form controller, and your problem solved. So it's as easy as that. I want to ask how you do the docking window for YouTube AV player tutorial. So the docking feature for the YouTube player, I wrote that in like 3 or 4 different ways, and analyzing how hard that feature was to build, I would now recommend using UI view property animator. That's the easiest way to get that thing to work. How exactly do you do it? Well, that's a little bit trickier. So I think the UI view property animator, you can specify the start point, the end point, and then you just interpolate between the start and end point, and the end point being the very bottom right corner. There's obviously a lot more that has to be said about how to do that, but that's the general idea. How much do I recommend SwiftUI? I don't know. How much do you recommend it? How do you start working on a new iOS project when you have anxiety about how complex the project will be? Just like anything else. Let's use going on a date with a female. So if you're a male, if you're a man, well, okay, not to get political about this, but let's say you're a man going on a date with a female, and you're anxious about it. You're very nervous about how the date's gonna go. And what do you do, right? What exactly do you do? Well, just take it one step at a time. Make sure that you go on a date with the girl at some place you're comfortable with. Maybe grab a coffee, see how the coffee goes. See if you guys have good chemistry, if you guys can talk, have a conversation that's actually meaningful and interesting. So if that goes well, then maybe go on a date for lunch or dinner, grab drinks or something. This is just one step at a time. Don't overthink it. Obviously, you're going on a very quick date. You're not thinking about marriage and having kids, right? So if you're going into programming thinking about having kids and being married to this language, you're going to be obviously very nervous and anxious about it. So don't overthink it is That's it. You try to overthink it, you're just gonna get stuck in one place and you won't be able to move on. How do you think? How do you think to make a new fresh app? I don't know. You know, the content of this channel is just basically ripping off other people's ideas, right? I'm just ripping off Facebook, ripping off YouTube, ripping off, who else am I ripping off? I'm just copying people. We're just all copying ideas from other people. It's very easy for me to copy stuff. I guess being Chinese, you can copy things very easily. Professor Brain like to copy the technology, like to steal the technology from other company. I really like a project. I'd really like working on a project with you. I hope maybe one, who knows. Thanks a lot for all your work, Professor Brain. Nice analogy. How we can manage fonts for all sizes. So font sizing is going to be a little bit trickier now due to accessibility. So here's what I would classify as like a newbie question. So far I'm using Objective-C, whether I have to learn SwiftUI, right? So if you're a newbie in programming, you have like a shit ton of questions about just programming in general. You just have to feel it out yourself. Programming is a discipline that you have to try very hard You have to try very hard in programming. It takes like 10 years to even understand anything at all. So that's how it goes. You think you give programming like 1 or 2 years of your life? That's just barely scratching the surface. Do I think junior iOS developers should have a few apps in the App Store before applying for a job? Probably, right? How else is the employer going to review your skill set? I don't know, Adrian Thomas. This question is aggravating me. Your Chinese side killing me so badly. GitHub. Do you think the employer is gonna go to GitHub and look at your code? Think about it. If you're trying to hire someone and they apply for your company, you think you're going to go and physically open up github.com and look at their code? Like maybe after after I see your application and test it out and see it actually looks good and runs decently, then I'll move on to looking at your GitHub code. If not, if the app just sucks, then I'm just going to pass on that resume. You know what I mean? Chinese accent. Okay. If your application look very bad on the App Store, no chance I give you a position at my company. I tell you to go away. Very quickly tell you to go away. You know, this is so simple for me to do. Yeah. All kidding aside, having an App Store, having a project that looks good on the App Store is a good idea, right? Hopefully that's obvious. In my technical interview, they asked questions about Objective-C and say 75% of apps are made Objective-C. Really depends on where you're at. I mean, geographically, if you're in the United States, it's kind of half and half, I would say. I don't know. I would recommend people don't focus so much on the actual language. So, for example, I've done programming for quite some time. The question that comes up, whenever I hear about a project, the first question that comes to me is never what programming language is it programmed in. I don't ever really care about the programming language. so much. It's more like, oh, is this an interesting idea? What does the stack look like? Do you have a server? Or where's the data coming from? Things like that. It's never really, oh, do I know this programming language? Every language is 80-90% the same thing. The syntax is different. You can learn that in a week. Is there a reply feature inside the comments in your social media app? So currently there is no reply feature, but I guess a reply is helpful. So comment reply. Yeah, maybe I'll think about that. I have that feature on my website, but the way it's integrated, it's kind of hacky. The query, having to query for replies in a list of comments. So you think about the comment structure. If you just get a straight list, it's very easy to query for it. But if you have a list and then each one of these comments have a reply to it, and like a nested reply, so you now have a tree of comments, and then you have children of these nodes have leaves, comment reply leaves. How hard is that to query? I guess querying that is not that bad, unless, holy shit, if the entire list of comments gets really large, then that query might be really slow. Man, building on a backend is not easy. So hopefully you guys appreciate the course. Whenever I'm making these courses, I really don't know if you guys appreciate the time that goes into building everything up. And I'm releasing the courses for like $60, $70. I think it's a really good deal, considering how much time I put in it. So, yeah. Courses that course is going to be a little bit more expensive than usual. We'll see what the pricing schema looks like. Don't query for responses all at once. Do it on request. So yeah, the idea is to like optimize the query. Yeah, the query optimization will be fun. See, these are the interesting problems that you have to think about. Like, I don't give a shit about laying out UI and talking about the MVC versus MVVM. This is the things that I don't care about. The more interesting part is like, how do you make your data come back from the server efficiently so that you can support thousands and thousands and thousands of users hitting your server at the same time? This is stuff I really care about. Again, I don't give a shit about SwiftUI. Yeah. To be honest, like UI is so trivial and boring at this point that even discussing it is pretty boring. I don't know if you guys agree. Hopefully you guys still find UI interesting. I'm just way beyond that point. Please bring out a course for building an app like Uber. Maybe. It's coming along. Okay, Sinatra. I think I'm gonna just put you on mute. Put user in mute. Hide user in timeout. Put user in timeout. You're gonna get timed out. Okay. Timeout for 300 seconds. Interesting. Professor Brain is the GOAT. Okay, I think I've been streaming for maybe a little too long today. Haven't hit the 1 hour mark yet, but it's been fun. I guess I'll leave everyone to their own devices now. I hope you're either working. Last question here. Are you guys going to school right now? Are you working? Are you in a coffee shop somewhere doing your thing? This way I can kind of gauge if I should stream at this hour again. Norman Wong in the house. What's going on, Norman Wong? How'd you find me? Norman's actually my friend in real life, IRL. Surprised to see you on the stream, Norman. Building your app at home, at a coffee shop. Oh, Eudaimonian attending an iOS bootcamp. Nice. I hope you're doing well that bootcamp. Bootcamps are a lot of fun if you give it all your effort, and I would say try to make the most out of it. Make sure to ask your professor or your teacher, your instructor. Make sure to ask them very good questions, because if you leave a good impression, they're more than willing to help you out later on in the future. I would be at work right now, enjoying the last couple of days of vacation. Oh man, got back from Hawaii last night. That sounds awesome. Maybe I should book a vacation. Donald McAllister, learning UI, kidding, ignoring SwiftUI. Yeah. So a little break, but working. Coffee shop, studying. Gurpreet says about to sleep. Norm Wong says I googled search programming portfolios and one of my videos came up. Yeah, I think I have like 500 videos on the channel, maybe more, or maybe that's an exaggeration. Messing with macOS Catalina public beta bugs. Yeah, a lot of bugs in beta software. Having you just talking in the background while I'm coding. Nice. Cool. Lunch break from web dev job. Nice. Adrian Thomas, how do you like your web dev job? I think I would rather be a web developer than an iOS developer nowadays. And then if I was actually a web dev, I would prefer to be a mobile iOS or Android developer. You know, that's how it goes. Grass is always greener on the other side. Ubering, traffic jammed. Oh man, you shouldn't be live streaming or watching the stream while you're driving. Cool, but I've always wanted to make mobile apps. Norman, I'm in Dublin, California right now. Dublin, California. Why am I saying California? I'm in Dublin right now. So if you want to visit, I'm just out here working from home every day. If you ever go back to, where's it, Union City, where you have your is it a condo or I can't remember, is it just an apartment? If you ever visit, you know, drive out here, is what, half an hour away. Yeah, I left South San Francisco a while back. It's a remote gig, so it's cool. Want to make iOS apps. Yeah. I would say that if you're a web developer, getting into iOS programming is probably pretty easy, right? Reserve tables and order dishes and see all dishes that the customer has ordered from home. So a couple things that I have been thinking about past couple of days is that so in the past I've wanted to create apps sort of similar to like an Uber app or some kind of map searching app, some kind of restaurant app. The hardest thing is building out a server that can return all that data. So having built out this Node.js server, I'm finding it very easy to do this. So in the future, I think I might just build out a very quick version of the server to support these apps. And this should make the entire process very easy. Before you go, thanks for your videos. Keep them coming. Grateful. Yeah. Okay, I am off to create some videos on the full stack social application, and to also produce some more videos for the YouTube channel. All right. Later, Norman, and later, everyone else. All right. Enjoy the rest of your days, guys.